So, over the last few weeks, I've been playing Kamigawa, a visual novel, over on my Twitch channel. It was released to coincide with Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and it is certainly a game. The game was produced by YRS Truly, a dev team whose only prior work appears to be something involving office politics. Great. For a visual novel, it's on the short end, as I cleared it in just under 3 hours. That's not a good sign. You see, I've played a lot of visual novels in my time, and most of them tend to be fairly long, only 20 plus hours size, and this one was very much not. The plot itself is nothing special. You are a nameless, faceless, backgroundless, self-insert Imperial samurai, paired with the worst person on the planet named Toma, and your job is to retrieve a kami that has been stolen away into a Pokeball-like device by the Kindai Futurists, a task which sends you all around some of Kamigawa. Now, I like to believe that I'm a fair man and I give everything a good chance at impressing me, so for this game I'm going to do a simple pros/con review. So let's do the pros and get them out of the way first. The pros. Yeah, one second. The music. There we go. The music and the background art is nice, all things considered. And the novel does try to give you some choice in where to go. There are loads of decisions, and at 2 points in the game in particular, you are given multiple choices on how you want to advance the story. Now, those choices all do wind up taking you back to the plot itself with no actual major deviations, but it still does give you the illusion of choice, or perhaps the ability to choose in what order events occur, which is nice. That's a plus. Another pro is it's free. You don't have to pay anything. It is free to download from the itch.io webpage, which is also good, because if this cost any money, I would have been very upset. That is all of the pros. Moving on. To the cons, we have a lot more. For example, the character art is bad. It's bad. Sure, it's probably stylistic, but when you have to look at things like this, it is just atrocious. And it's made worse by the fact that the characters associated with this art are just some of the absolute worst characters I've ever been introduced to in any medium. Most of them are unlikable and unenjoyable, and with the exception of Asuga, the snake chick you're stapled with for a bit of the adventure, most are just downright horrible, and I don't want to be in a room with them. The worst offender is your partner for this entire adventure, Toma, your fellow Imperial samurai, and he is the absolute fucking worst. The game goes out of its way to portray him as just the most disgusting, stuck-up piece of shit human being on the planet. He has no redeeming qualities. He is just a grumpy, asinine shit the entire adventure. He always has a snide remark, and he has no endearing qualities whatsoever, which is kind of annoying because it seems like the developers intended for him to be like your good friend and someone you care a lot about. That is a hard thing to portray when the character in question is just the worst. As a sort of testament to his terribleness, I actually forgot how many times I thought to myself, either privately or openly, that I hoped that he died in a given scene, especially during the fight scenes where I was hoping it was possible for him to be killed off. That is not good if he is supposed to be our primary companion and friend for this adventure, but let's move on to the plot. The plot is shallow at best. Take, for instance, the kami that was kidnapped at the start of the adventure. We never learn what kami was taken by the Kindai Futurists, or why they even wanted it, what their goals with it were. We're hinted that they have a plan for it, but we never find out what that plan is, or why the plot itself was set into motion. Worse yet, sprinkled throughout this novel are a bunch of celebrity cameos, which I think these are all magic live streamers or something, but they're mostly jarring. They look out of place on fucking Kamigawa and mostly exist just to sidetrack you from the actual, still bad, main plot. Then there's the main character. You, the empty, fill-in-the-blank self-insert that is running around. The main character is dumb, and his choices rarely seem to actually make sense, nor does his inner monologue at some points. But that, of course, can be attributed to him being literally a blank space for you to self-insert into, which is just going to contribute to make it more jarring when he's a fan of other self-insert characters. I don't understand that. And, of course, how could I forget the casual racism? This novel has an entire segment dedicated to basically every character being casually racist towards moonfolk, including a section which goes quite literally, "Hello, you moonfolk, we are looking for some moonfolk. Maybe you, some moonfolk, know who we're looking for." And while that flies in other stories and could even be for comedic effect, and maybe is even justified in universe, it comes off as just really crass and directly clashes with WotC's whole inclusion is everything message that they're constantly trying to shove down our throats. It's really out of place and jarring. And for the setting, well, it's on Kamigawa, but we're given basically nothing that ties it into the story or setting of Kamigawa other than the locations you visit. The only character I recall being mentioned at all was Kyodai, which is offensive to me because Kyodai, one of the Sisters of Flesh and Spirit, is referred to multiple times in the novel as a he, implying quite heavily that the people who were working on this thing don't have any actual knowledge of the Magic the Gathering lore, which is a tiny bit on the upsetting side for me. All of the above issues are compounded by the ending of the game, of which there are several, but I only had access to 3. The first ending you could get in the playthrough I did, at least, was you do the quote-unquote right thing and take the imprisoned Kami back to the Imperials. You are then treated as if nothing actually occurred and your life moved on as normal. You got really bored and everything stayed the same. This was the good ending. The bad ending is you betray your quote-unquote friend, Toma, and join the Kindai Futurists. This is, of course, the bad ending because the game goes out of its way to tell you that your life has been improved by the technology they provide, even if you were treated a bit harshly in the beginning. And then there's my favorite ending. The ending where you let the Kami that you learn literally nothing about free, and it kills you and Toma and the Snake Lady and everybody else. Thousands of people die. The end. I love it just because of how insane it is. It's amazing. To wrap this review up, this is a game that is literally not worth your time. I completed it in about 3 hours, maybe a little under 3 hours. I'll check at some point. But it doesn't have any redeeming qualities to it. None of the characters are really that likable, the story isn't all that impressive, and the endings are just sad. Overall, I would give this maybe a 2 out of 10 for effort. They put in some decent music and some nice art assets, but that is about it. Thankfully, this is as non-canon as you can get because it has no ties whatsoever to the Kamigawa story and no impact on the world of Kamigawa itself. It is not good, and that is my final judgment on it. Thank you very much for watching, and have yourselves a great day. I will see you next week as I continue my adventures on Twitch for... Oh, I have no idea what I'm doing next week, do I? I should get on that. Ciao.